Welcome in, everyone, and thank you for listening to the 214th ever episode of the Missouri Sports Podcast, brought to you by 106 Apparel and recording from the Rebel Advertising Studio in beautiful Springfield, Missouri. I'm one of your hosts, Cameron Albert, alongside my good friend and fellow Mizzou fan, Kyle DeVries. How are you doing today, Kyle?
I'm doing great, Cameron. How are you?
I'm doing well. We actually watched some fun football on Saturday.
Mess this
Can
up.
we straighten that up? Okay, thanks.
Okay. Yes, we did.
That's obviously what we're going to talk about.
That's why we're here.
That Georgia game was actually fun football for the first time in a while. What else do we have to talk about today? Mizzou basketball got a commitment. That's exciting. And there's some other news. Before we get into all of that, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, leave us a review on the podcast platform, support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Missouri Sports Pod. We're going to pick the SEC games later on and give our predictions for the Florida game. But we'll start with a little bit of news, just a couple notes here. Football, there was a scheduling update for next year. There were some rumors that this was going to happen. But Missouri was supposed to play at Memphis, and now they would be playing Memphis in St. Louis at the Dome. What's it called again? The Dome at America's Center.
It was Edward Jones Dome. It's not that anymore?
No.
Okay, I'm behind the times, apparently.
Yeah.
I mean,
Rams left a long time ago.
Did they use that for anything? Like,
I think I don't know. I have no
random.
idea. One of our listeners in St. Louis will be able to tell us what they do with that.
They're already getting ready for the Mizzou game. They're just already preparing for it because it's the only thing they're going to host.
Yeah.
I mean, this is really cool. It's going to be fun to play a game in the Dome. I almost called it the wrong name again. But I like the aggressiveness from Mizzou's administration to say, like, yeah, we don't love playing on the road at an inferior opponent that's not in a Power 5 conference, and we're going to level the playing field a little bit here in our favor because we can do that, and I like it. Yeah.
And I love just kind of setting the stage for my dream scheduling of playing Illinois in the Dome again.
That's why we do it.
I feel like we, kick the tires a little bit on the Dome situation, and obviously it helps playing a game in St. Louis just with recruiting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm all about that decision.
Yeah,
and
now you just have to win.
Yeah, win that game and then get Illinois on the schedule, which I think there's plans to play them. Yeah,
it is. We'll be like 50 years old at that point, but it's on the schedule.
Yep. And then we just need to play Kansas in Kansas City, and I can die happy. A little bit of basketball news. Mizzou basketball got a commitment from 4-star forward Jordan Butler. He's listed anywhere between 6'10" and 7 feet tall. So he's a tall gentleman with long arms. He is kind of a stretch big man and a good-looking shot. I think he definitely looks like, for a 4-star player, he looks like more of a long-term, not really like a project. He's the kind of project player that we should have been used to having from time to time versus the ones that never play basketball anywhere in their entire career. We had those kind of projects for a while. So this looks like more like a normal fringe top 100 player who just needs to get his body right and get used to a college game, and he should be a solid contributor before too long.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you're not going to find like crazy highlight reels of him dropping 25 points or something right now. I mean, he's clearly a force on the boards and on defense. He can definitely shoot. He likes to hang out on the perimeter, and I mean, he definitely has good ball skills, can dribble it around and pass, and like you said, shoot the three. So you can see the makings of a very good player in the future. Definitely not a guy that's necessarily lighting up the scoreboard right now. But, yeah, I think he's a top 100 player. Definitely had some good competition that was interested in him. So that's always a good sign that Missouri's beating out similar level programs for the players they want to land.
Yeah. Yeah, the top three were Mizzou, Auburn, and South Carolina. I read some reports that Auburn was kind of out on him. So make of that whatever you will. Maybe they knew they weren't getting him, but it seems like they weren't really pushing very hard towards the end. And it really came down to Mizzou and South Carolina. And
he's from South Carolina, so
right.
you beat out the home team.
Yep. I did want to note, so now there's 3 commitments for Mizzou basketball for the 2023 class. They are all currently 4-star rated on Rivals and 24/7 Composite. The last time that we had a final recruiting class with 3 4-star players or better was 2017 when we had Michael Porter Jr., Jonte, Tillman, and Blake Harris was a 4-star player. Before that, it was 2014. You might remember Teki Gil-Caesar, Jakeenan Gant, and Naaman Wright were all 4-star players.
I remember it fondly.
That was actually, that was a pretty huge deal, that recruiting class. Like
at the time,
keeping that together and getting those guys on campus that was looking like the perfect start to the Cam Anderson era.
Yeah, I'm glad it worked out.
It worked out for some of those guys.
Just not at Mizzou.
No. All right, so let's get into what we're all here for. Fun football. What a difference, just like competing at a high level with a really good opponent in a great atmosphere. What a difference it makes.
Yeah.
Going from the Auburn game, which was both games disappointing finishes. The Auburn game, though, you wanted to, gouge your eyes out the entire time and, drink bleach. And then when it was over, it was like, finally, this mess is over, but it was a bad ending, so I'm just very upset by this whole thing. The Georgia game felt more like, we had momentum for most of the game. This was really fun. The defense was incredible. And then it's still the number 1 team in the country. They still have better players, more depth. I can't be too bummed about this loss. And I am going to be excited that they competed.
Yeah. Yeah, I told you guys this earlier, but the Auburn game was like immediate death. It was just like I felt awful. Felt every emotion. We threw the game away so many times, and it, like you said, it was just a completely awful game to watch. The Georgia game was like so fun, so enjoyable. Disappointing at the end, but I was kind of just like, I'm just happy that we are playing respectable football. But as the week has gone on, like, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of been a slow burn where I've kind of thought about it a little bit more. Like, man, we were so close to pulling off, one of the biggest wins Mizzou has ever had, literally. Just program changing win was right in our grasp, and we, Georgia definitely, they played well at the end. They earned the win, but Mizzou definitely did some things that they could have played better. They definitely could have closed it out, I think, and didn't do that, but I'm sure we'll get into that.
Yeah. So Missouri going into this game, 30-point underdog. We started out with Scott Van Pelt on ESPN picking Missouri to cover the spread against Georgia. And he said on his show it was him and nobody else, which was pretty much true. I picked Georgia to cover. I think you had Missouri covering, but we both had it being a not very competitive game. And it had all those feelings of an upset bid where it's like, okay, Missouri is kicking field goals, but we have a lead. We've seen that before. Missouri gets a 3-0 lead against Georgia. We literally saw that last year, I think.
Energy was high, though, and the atmosphere was great.
Yeah.
Defense was flying around.
Right. And little by little, like, big positive plays for Mizzou kept being bigger and more exciting and giving you more optimism to the point where it's like, we've reached the point now where I think we can win this, and I'm going to be devastated when we lose.
For sure. Like, we were not at this game. I was watching from home, but at halftime, we were winning. We were playing really well. I was physically like shaking with adrenaline. Like, I was like, oh my God, like this is the 100 percentile outcome of how this game could go. Like they'll play this game 100 times and this might be the best possible outcome you would see in 100 attempts.
Yeah.
And like we are living that like best case scenario right now. And like we have a chance to beat number 1 Georgia. And I kind of knew we wouldn't, and I mean, honestly though, I expect Georgia to come out and dominate in the second half, and they really never did at any point. Like Missouri held the lead through the fourth quarter. Into the fourth quarter, I should say, not through the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I think let's talk about Missouri's defense. Just kind of throughout the game, they were forcing Georgia into a lot of 3rd and long situations, and Georgia was actually, I think I wrote it down here somewhere. They were like 4 of 13 on 3rd down, and those 4, I feel like 2 of them I remember specifically being 3rd and long, and it being kind of a gut punch when they converted those. Mm-hmm. But Missouri's defense held up almost every single time until late into the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
Missouri's defense was holding them to field goals.
Yeah, early on in the game, they were getting pressure. They got a few sacks, like on third and long. Mm-hmm. There was one pretty crucial 3rd and long where the Georgia receiver just dropped it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. As the game went on, Georgia was getting better at converting those.
And Missouri's defense they grabbed the momentum early with the Hopper forced fumble, mm-hmm. and Rakestraw just jumped on the ball. I loved seeing that, of him not even trying to pick up the ball, just jump on it and secure the fumble. Mm-hmm. And it was the defense that kept the momentum on Missouri's side. The defense and Harrison Mevis. I mean, we've said that before last year.
Yeah.
Late in the season, that's basically all we had. Mm-hmm. There was a play. Dalen Carnell had another first half fumble recovery. That one was just a messed up handoff that he just picked up off the ground.
Just literally dropped it.
And if Stetson Bennett hadn't been there and realized what was going on, and that was a touchdown,
he would have walked to the end zone.
Oh,
we were watching it before this actually. I still feel like, I mean, obviously you take what happened 100 times, but it almost felt like, come on, you can stiff arm the quarterback. Yeah. Like you gotta just break that tackle, and you're just walking to the end zone.
But if he's thinking about that kind of stuff too much, he probably doesn't even secure the fumble recovery. Exactly. Though, if he could have that back, if he could be in that play knowing what's about to happen, there's no way he lets him tackle him.
No. Yeah, he's prepared to shake the tackler. I think he easily does it.
I feel like the defense they were at every level. They were making impressive plays to signal to the offense, I feel like, and to us watching at home, we have a shot here. If you can manufacture some points, then they had something figured out against Georgia. Georgia was struggling to run the ball up the middle.
Oh yeah.
Everything that they were getting was on misdirection, jet sweeps, and they were really having to work hard for their yards.
Yeah, I think Missouri really was the better team up front for most of the night, which I never in a million years would ever have thought that would happen on both sides of the ball. I thought Missouri played really, really well in the trenches. Missouri's defense was awesome. I really didn't know Chad Bailey was gone. Right. Devin Nicholson and Damian Wilson played mm-hmm. really, really well, kind of in substitution snaps. And then obviously Hopper is probably the star of the defense right now.
Yeah. Jeff Coate had, I think, 1.5 tackles for loss. They were tackling the running backs in the backfield.
Yeah.
And the secondary, we talked about Carnell. Jalen Carlisle was flying all over the field, making huge plays, huge hits.
Yeah.
Chris Abrams-Drain was playing good defense on the back end.
I will say a couple notes on Carlisle. Especially late. He had a couple of opportunities to really make some game-changing plays, and and he's just a heat-seeking missile.
Yeah.
But has trouble just wrapping up sometimes, where he just wants to get hard hits, and he does. And he forces fumbles sometimes doing that, but I wish he would just wrap up sometimes, because guys just every once in a while will bounce off of him.
Yeah, there was one play in particular that actually ended up being good for Missouri, but he just hit the guy, but then other Mizzou players actually made the tackle. But then when when Georgia's offense finally got going, and it was inevitable. They had, I mean, somebody in the Discord when we were watching the game was like, "Is Georgia getting better as the game goes on?" And it's like, yeah, basically.
That's what they do.
That's at the very least. Missouri does not have the horses here. We played awesome, but Georgia has the depth to keep their guys fresh, and they just have the best athletes.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's exactly what it looked like. It was Georgia in the fourth quarter on their first touchdown drive. They basically laid it all out there. Their receivers made some plays. Stetson Bennett, he recovered from a shaky first half really well. But still, Missouri's defense stopped them on 3rd and 1, like inside the 10-yard line. And then Georgia, which I feel like it was pretty, you could almost call it. I think even the announcer did call it that they were going to try to go with like a sweep or something. Mm-hmm. And they did that jet sweep. And that was where I think it was Carlisle actually meets the ball carrier before he gets the first down.
Yes. But
can't quite make it happen.
That's the play I had in mind when I was talking about that earlier, was just that play in particular. He literally made contact with the runner behind the first down line. But
I don't expect him to make that play, honestly.
Didn't wrap up, and so just kind of bounced off of the runner, and he fell forward.
Yeah, I mean, talk about a legendary play.
And yes. And there was pretty clear false start on that play as well.
Yeah. Oh, there were a couple. I mean, the false start. There were a couple holds.
A lot of missed holds.
There was a missed defensive pass interference. Luther Burden receiving. Yeah, that was
frustrating.
That was kind of rough.
We needed some of those things to go our way in a game like that.
Well, and the missed false start there in that crucial situation,
critical, and
mirroring the false start directly after Schrader's 60-yard run to get down to the 1-yard line. It's like that. The false start from Missouri, game changing, changes the outcome.
Yep.
You know, there's no guarantee that they score a touchdown after Schrader's run there at the 1-yard line, but you like their chances. And there's no guarantee that Georgia doesn't score if they actually call the false start there.
Yeah.
But, man.
Definitely some haunting plays for sure, where it's just like, man, if we get, like, if Schrader just finds a way to get 1 yard further and score on that play, you know, just those kind of, there was just several of those, like, what-ifs where, you know, if he scores a touchdown there, I'm pretty sure Missouri goes up 20-3.
Yeah.
Like, that is a pretty substantial lead, and I'm not saying that they hold it, but man, that changes things. But I did one more thing before we move on. I was gonna say the defense just from the get-go was like up to the challenge. Like in the pregame, they got in like a little scrum, you know, like Georgia was kind of talking smack, and some of the defensive linemen for Mizzou, like, you know, weren't too happy with that. And I don't know. I feel like at the time when I kind of saw that was happening on Twitter, I was like, oh, okay, just like give them a reason to take this game seriously. But I love that they were just ready, and they didn't back down whatsoever.
And Blake Baker talked about that. He was like, you know, I think he did a good job of being like, yeah, we're not trying to, you know, cause a scene in pregame, but also our guys are not gonna just lay down. They're gonna let you know, we're actually here to compete, and if you're gonna be saying stuff pregame, expect them to have a response.
Yeah.
And they responded on the field too. I mean, hats off to the defense. Honestly, they
for sure
did their part.
Yeah,
and then some.
I mean, like the defense was
the only thing they could have done better is score a touchdown.
Yeah, for sure. And they could have, but oh well. Yeah, the defense was like the most solid part of the night. They were the most successful unit on the field, but maybe the most like encouraging thing was the way the offense looked at times. Like, I mean, that the offense has been our Achilles heel this season, like obviously.
Yeah.
But Dominic Lovett looked fantastic before he kind of got banged up. Had a great first half. Mookie Cooper got a really big deep pass. Like Brady Cook, this was probably his best game he's played, all things considered. Had some really good plays where he was kind of had to improvise and get out of the pocket and like actually make a play and not just, you know, follow the script of whatever the play is. Like he was forced to make a play and was able to do that at times.
Yeah, I feel like I would probably agree best game for Brady Cook, but without a doubt, the first half was the best half that he
Yeah,
has played
sure.
as a Missouri Tiger. And I wish he could have been a little bit closer to that in the second half. I did break it down here. So first half, Brady Cook, 14 of 18 for 129 yards and a touchdown. Second half, 6 of 14, 63 yards.
And I feel like a lot of that's Dominic Lovett wasn't really out there much
Yeah.
in the second half.
Yeah,
That really hurt us.
He didn't have a catch in the second half. I mean,
Yeah.
he was out basically
Yeah.
the entire second half. Lovett, 6 catches for 84 yards all in the first half.
Yep.
So,
He's
yeah, you
good.
never know what there was a couple plays early where Brady Cook was like, rolling out of the pocket, extending the play with his legs and keeping his eyes downfield, found Lovett twice at the sideline.
Yeah, that's kind of some mind meld stuff you'd like to see. I mean, that takes coordination, obviously, from Brady Cook to improvise long enough to, avoid the rush and everything. But Dominic Lovett, too, to kind of get creative and get open. And so they were working together really well on a couple of those plays.
Yeah. On one of the replays that ESPN showed, the angle was perfect. You see Lovett like signal to Brady, like, I'm going to be open here. And he just like backpedals a little bit into the open spot.
Yeah.
Really good stuff.
That's just the stuff that unfortunately takes experience playing together, and the only way you get experience is doing it in the game, in real games that count, and you got to take your lumps, I guess, before you figure some of that stuff out. But, the offense definitely encouraged me in this game that they have the ability to improve, and I think they are getting better, and I'm not saying they're ever going to be good at any point this season, but hopefully they can get to a point where we can win games against good opponents if the defense continues to play as good as they have been.
The touchdown to Tyler Stevens was honestly like a really well done play design, and execution was just perfect.
Yeah, beautiful play design. Kind of looked Stevens kind of out there looking like he was just going to block for a screen. The screen drew both defenders, and he was wide open. It was just perfect play calling.
Wish Cook could have done more in the second half. Running backs looked pretty good. Schrader had the huge run. Pete, 9 rushes for 37 yards, but he had some really tough runs in the second half to basically give Mizzou better field position. Just kind of, I feel like when he or Schrader is able to get like just run for a first down early in a drive, it just kind of sets the tone a little bit. Like, okay, we're not going 3 and out. We're going to move the ball. Worst case scenario, we're going to flip the field for the defense or something. I don't know. It's like a little bit of a sigh of relief when we break off a decent run like that. And obviously Harrison Mevis, 5 for 5 kicking field goals. He made kicks from 41, 49, 22, 52, and 55 yards.
Yeah, Mevis is definitely back, and just makes you question even further what happened in the Auburn game, but I just need to put it behind me.
His first kick was a little questionable, like a little wobbly. But then the rest of them were just perfect. So before I feel like this is a pretty positive conversation, all things considered. We're going to get I'm going to take us to a little bit of a negative place regarding Missouri's last offensive possession and the execution and the just game planning there from Coach Drinkwitz. But before we get into that too much, I do want to emphasize this team was good enough to beat number 1 Georgia at home. And I know it didn't happen, and maybe maybe them losing by 4 is the best case scenario. Like, this is the best finish we could hope for. But, all it takes is Schrader finding the end zone there, not committing a false start. It's, again, a situation where we played well enough to win, just needed a couple more things to go our way.
Yeah, self-inflicted stuff for sure. And I know we're going to talk about that last drive here in a second, but just adding to the things that we could have done differently, on Coach Drinkwitz's behalf, I really feel like the offensive line was dominating up front, and we didn't run enough in the second half. And I felt like the push they were getting and the way the running backs were running, like Georgia just didn't look all that interested in playing the defense they normally play. You just have to take advantage of that, especially in the rare situation that you're leading by 2 scores going into the fourth quarter. I just feel like, man, you have got to be doing everything you can to keep that clock moving, shorten the game, just keep running if you're doing it even remotely well, which they were all game. I think that's something that's going to haunt me a little bit, thinking like what could have happened if we just kept running the ball, draining the clock.
Yeah, so that brings us right into that last Missouri possession. But to add to what you're saying, Missouri had run the ball 14 times at halftime. In the first half, they ran the ball 14 times. They finished the game with 21 rushes.
Yeah.
They only ran the ball 2 times, 2 rushes in the fourth quarter.
And I just feel like it's that line where you're walking where it's like, okay, let's say they do run a bunch and still lose somehow. Then I feel like we're saying, I feel like we played scared and we just tried and we just
trying not to lose.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like I feel like we have done that with Coach Drinkwitz.
Yeah.
And he's almost referenced that after the game, like, yep, we tried and we just played not to lose. And so it's like, man, that line, at least against the number 1 team in the country, that line is very thin.
Yeah.
And I feel like no matter what, we're probably complaining, but it just seemed like, man, it's so obvious. Like, we're snapping the ball with 20 seconds on the play clock.
Yeah.
In the fourth quarter with a 2-score lead. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah, at that point, even if you want to keep throwing the ball, even if you only want to run the ball 7 times in the second half, if the clock is running, you cannot be snapping the ball with more than 10 seconds on the play clock. That's got to be. There's got to be a place between what he has called bunker mentality and playing not to lose instead of to win. Yeah. You have to be able to live in a space where you're doing things to hold on to a victory, but not playing to not lose. And I feel like that's on the coach to try to figure out what that looks like. Mm-hmm. So Missouri took over possession of the ball with 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. 4 minutes left in the game. This was right after Georgia had put together 2 long touchdown drives. First touchdown drive for Georgia required a 4th and 1 conversion that we talked about. That's what it came to for Georgia to be able to score a touchdown in this game. But then on their second touchdown drive, they took the lead 26-22 with 4 minutes left in the game. Missouri took over through 3 incomplete passes and punted the ball with 3 minutes and 45 seconds left in the game, and we did not get the ball back. And I said that in Discord.
Yes,
I was like, Missouri's not getting the ball back.
And I think we all knew it.
And
I mean, at the same time, it's like, can we go for this on 4th and 10 on our own 20?
Well, that's when it's almost too far gone.
Right.
Like the game
we should
plan,
not be in this situation.
You get the ball with 4 minutes left and 3 timeouts. You're down by 4. You got it. In my mind, I'm thinking, perfect. We're going to have a 4-minute drive to score a touchdown and win this game.
Yeah.
And do not let Georgia have the ball back.
Yep.
And that means the entire playbook is open. We can run the ball multiple times and get us in a 4th and less than 10, and we're going for it.
Yep. Yeah, that had to be 4-down territory, really no matter what at that point. But they didn't give themselves the opportunity to go for it in a reasonable 4th down situation.
It's like they thought they could just get a first down and then decide. Like, let's air it out a little bit, get a chunk here, and then let's figure out what we want to do.
Mm-hmm. Which really wasn't what we were doing well in that game for the most part, and haven't all season.
Yeah, so...
And had plenty of time, really more than enough time.
Well, that's the thing, is Drink said after the game that he thought the play there was to play 2-for-1 possessions.
I can't even fathom that.
When it's been very difficult for you to score a touchdown in this game. And Georgia just showed that they are at a place with their offense where they're probably going to be able to score if they want to.
Yes.
I can't imagine thinking we win this game despite Georgia getting the ball one more time.
Yeah, you're telling me if you could go back and do it again, you would throw 3 passes again?
Right.
When we're running the ball this well, and it's 4-down territory no matter what, unless we're just 4th and 10 on our own 20. That's
Yeah.
about the only situation we don't go for it on 4th.
Right.
Like, you have to give yourself a more reasonable chance.
And it's really a shame. I mean, the Missouri played so well, and I feel like the game planning and everything looked so good. The play calling was good. Execution was good. The defense carried things, especially in the second half, and then just couldn't quite make. The defense needed one more game-changing play.
Yeah.
And they just didn't quite have it. But we can't expect them to just constantly be flipping the momentum. And it just sucks that we're down to, again, questioning what Drinkwitz is doing there in that situation.
Yeah, it does seem like almost every game we're coming out of it like with a pretty obvious thing that we disagree with him doing game plan wise in crucial moments, and that's a little disappointing. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy enough to get over that one because
Because of the circumstance.
Yeah, and what you're still asking the Missouri offense to do there.
Sure.
I mean, I was pretty deflated after Georgia took the
I think
the
we
lead
all
there.
we all kind of knew it just wasn't going to happen at that point. But I don't know. Drink said something in his press conference after earlier this week that he said something like, that atmosphere was what I dream of when we're building this program, and that honestly was just kind of like. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Like that kind of just like made my heart happy. Like, yeah, I think I'm still behind you here. Like, I believe in you. I believe in Mizzou, and we're capable of this. Like we can do this. We can beat good teams in here. We can have a dang good atmosphere. And
at the same time, this should not change how people think the rest of the season is going to go. I mean, we still are going to lose more games this year.
Oh yeah.
And but if the team is coming out and showing that they care and they're going to do whatever they can do to win this game week in, week out, then even if the record's not great at the end of the year, I'll still feel optimistic about the future. And I'll point back to this Georgia game as like, this is a glimpse of us being where we need to be.
Right. Yep. It felt like we can get here, and we're going to do it. And this is a turning point. And I really, really hope that's actually true, and it wasn't just the whole thing wasn't a fluke.
Right.
I really hope that this past weekend was kind of a turning point in the Drinkwitz era, and things are kind of looking up.
I think so. And again, they will have to lay down in multiple games the rest of the season. Like from now to the end of the season, there'd have to be some pretty bad performances for me to go back to thinking like I was after the Auburn game. But still, I would have been 6-6, give or take a game all season long. I mean, since the preseason. So maybe that doesn't mean a whole lot. Anything else from this game? Did you? I'm sure you saw the whole. Another aspect of this whole thing was just Mizzou playing the number one team, having the lead. That was like, if you're in Mizzou Twitter or even sports Twitter, that was the story Saturday night, which was super fun to be a part of.
For sure.
Chase Daniel tweeted that he would cover everybody's tab at Harpo's for like the first 2 hour, for like a 2 hours period or something, if Mizzou pulled off the upset.
Yeah.
And what's even better than that is like at halftime or something, people were questioning him like, how are you feeling about this? And he was like, this is awesome. Like, I want to pay for everybody's drinks so bad. And
like Big Cat was getting involved.
Yes, pardon my take. He was like, I'll do. He was like, I'll match it.
Yeah.
And then
he was
getting very worried.
Yes.
But Chase Daniel was like, yeah, well, you're in this now. Like,
yeah.
We want him to win.
Oh yeah. It'd be, as a proud member of Mizzou Twitter, man, those kind of games are really fun. I mean, just like there's people that I feel like no matter what happens in the Mizzou game, there's certain followers that we'll see show up on every tweet no matter what. But like when Mizzou starts getting national attention with what they're doing, like there's people coming out of the woodwork, like people I've never seen on Twitter, like interacting with us on Twitter and everything. It's fun, and Saturday was a lot of fun for sure.
Harrison Mevis was very popular on Twitter Saturday night.
Oh man, his little like march that he did, that was hilarious.
I wanted to mention all that because that's part of the game experience in 2022.
And I know some of our listeners were there at the game, and some of them were saying they lost their voice early in the game, and people were saying their ear. It was just like it was so loud, their ears were ringing and stuff in there. Like you love to hear that.
Yes, that's what it's all about. All right, moving on. Unfortunately, I want to live in that moment. I want to live in the third quarter of that football game.
That moment that Tyler Stevens caught that touchdown pass to go up 10-0. I just want to capture that moment and just be in those feels forever.
But unfortunately, we have to go to Gainesville and play the Florida Gators. Florida this season is 3-2, but 0-2 in the SEC, and it is our first time with new head coach Billy Napier, who had coached at Louisiana previously. A little bit about Florida. Billy Napier does call the plays. And honestly, if you watch a Florida game, if they were wearing Mizzou jerseys, it would look a lot like Eli Drinkwitz's offense. There's a lot of pre-snap motion and, multiple guys, basically like formation shifts, pre-snap to try to throw the defense off. So that was one thing that Georgia was doing well, I feel like, was reacting to Missouri's adjustments that Missouri's offense was making. It seemed like Georgia was able to make their shifts to not give up a huge play. So we're going to need to be seeing that from Missouri in this one. Florida quarterback Anthony Richardson, he is a playmaker, but he has struggled with accuracy this year. I think 56% completion percentage, 4 touchdown passes to 6 interceptions, but he also has run for 250 yards and 5 touchdowns. So he can do a little bit of everything, but he's still young and a little bit raw and is prone to a mistake here and there. So I think there's opportunity for Missouri's defense, I think.
Yeah, I could definitely see this game going a number of ways. I mean, he's super talented. He's really fun to watch. That Florida's quarterback. He's probably going to be great at some point, has had some great moments already, even in this, in the young season. But totally different challenge than Stetson Bennett, for sure.
Yeah, Georgia's offense, and that's how we were able to get them off their game, was they rely on getting positive yards every down, and I feel like Florida is a little bit more home
run.
Yeah.
Yep.
Big play or bust situation.
Yep.
So, I think Missouri's defense could do something with that. Florida's defense, I think they're going to basically try to make Brady Cook beat them. And if he can find a little bit of running room, if he can extend plays but then take off for a first down here and there, and if he can find receivers over the middle, I really think that's going to be Florida's game plan on defense, is to bottle up the run and make Brady Cook beat him.
Yeah, I was really surprised at how well the run game was getting going against Georgia. I think I'd be surprised if we saw that happen again against Florida. Dominic Lovett's questionable for this game with the same injury he left the game in against Georgia. So we really need him to play. I mean, he is what's making the offense go at this point. We really need him out there, whether he's making the play himself or he's diverting the attention away from whoever is getting the ball. He is instrumental in what we're trying to do on offense right now.
With just one half against Georgia, he's still number 1 in the SEC for receptions and receiving yards.
Yeah,
almost has 100 yards on second place.
Yep,
he's breaking out. I don't know if Brady Cook can do it on the road. If this game was at home, I think I maybe pick Missouri to win this game. Brady Cook has struggled on the road, and if he doesn't have Lovett, I think it might be a pretty ugly day for Missouri's offense. Maybe the offensive line can get something going in the running game, even if Florida is planning on it. I just don't know. I think it'll be ugly, probably multiple turnovers from both teams. That's what we're going to need from the defense anyway.
Yeah,
to turn them over.
Yeah, I don't think Missouri's going to win this game on the road. It's certainly a winnable game. It's not impossible, and I think Florida, they have great athletes, but like you said, they have the potential to unravel a little bit, and they are pretty raw in some of their key positions. So I don't know. I think I see Florida winning this game like 34-20. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's probably pretty accurate.
Billy Napier is gonna be. I think he's gonna be good there.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think you're right. I think probably you're very close to what I was gonna say, but I might say it's a little bit closer game. Give me Florida 32-23.
What's the spread? Do we know?
Let me see.
11.
That sounds right.
11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be close to that.
Remember that game in like 2014 or something at Florida when like I don't even know if we scored like an offensive touchdown and we won like 42 to whatever.
Yeah. Like Marcus Murphy had like a punt return touchdown and a kickoff return touchdown, and we had an interception return touchdown and a fumble return touchdown.
Every way you could score except for just the offense scoring, we did it.
Yeah.
That was one of the strangest games ever.
Yeah, Matty Mock had like 100 yards passing. Like the offense had like 200 total yards, but we scored 42 points.
I don't know how we won the East that year. What a strange, like a totally anemic offense.
Yeah.
We would just have this one random like Jimmy Hunt like touchdown where he would just like break one and that would be like the only offense of the whole game.
Yeah. Yeah, and Marcus Murphy was like
was
a
awesome.
weapon all over the field.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got Missouri losing, but I think Florida is not the type of team that's going to run away with any SEC games this year.
Yeah.
And I feel like Missouri, it's trending like we can just kind of be competitive against these guys. So
show up and see what happens. That's what we did Saturday. Just do it again. Defense, going to have to play out of your minds again probably, but they seem perfectly happy to do that.
Yeah, I still think, though, if Brady Cook can put two halves together, like the first half against Georgia, then we're in business. The offense could actually get going.
Are we going to see Luther Burden kind of break out in one of these games? Not break out necessarily, but just like, are we going to see him have a game?
Have a pop-off game?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
One of these SEC games, it'll be the Luther Burden show.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. He'll at least... I could see him having a nice, 7-catch, 120-yard game with a touchdown or something.
Florida would be, this Saturday would be a good time to do that.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I did with Lovett, though. I mean, it's just another example of, like you said, just take some time. You got to develop the relationships between the quarterback and his weapons. He's got to be able to know where the guy's going to be.
Yeah.
We will see that more and more, I think. All right, so we got Missouri losing, but I still feel much better about everything after the Georgia game.
And I mean, I don't know where the team's at as far as their performance from Saturday. Surely they're encouraged, even though they lost. I was curious to see how they would react from the Auburn game, like getting their souls snatched out of their bodies, and how they would show up against the number one team the following week. And obviously they were more than ready to go. That's
a testament to the coaching.
Yeah, I don't really have locker room concerns or anything whatsoever. I really feel like the team's on board with what the coaches want them to do. I feel like the guys are energetic and excited to go out there and play. They could definitely turn the momentum that they had against Georgia into a great game on Saturday. And it would be great and very refreshing to see them play well on the road against a good team, because they just don't really do that very often.
Yeah, and we've talked about it multiple times this season, and going back to our preseason previews and stuff, these other teams in the SEC are going to be, it's an arms race. I mean, they are not going to tolerate anything but stellar play, and I think many of these schools have coaches and staffs in place that are just going to get better over the next 3 or 4 seasons. For sure.
And honestly, and within this season, kind of feel like Missouri has lost their ability for the other team to sleepwalk into the game. Georgia, clearly, that first half, they were sleepwalking, not respecting Missouri at all. I think after that performance last week, they've gotten everyone's attention. Unfortunately, probably Florida is paying attention as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. Let's see a good game, and let's pick some games. We'll do SEC Pick'em plus Nebraska. It looks like some fun matchups this week. Last week, everybody kind of did bad. Producer Cameron, take it away.
Yeah, we only had 5 games last week, so no one scored a ton of points. Cameron had 2, Kyle had 3, I had 3, and our guest pickers had 3. Our season totals are Cameron has 33, Kyle 37, I do this every time. Kyle 36, the guest pickers 37, I have 41.
Okay. I wanted to look at the finishes from last week real quick in the SEC. Man, that Kentucky Ole Miss game, I needed Kentucky to pull that one out. They couldn't do anything in the fourth quarter. And then Texas A&M just looks bad. They got beat.
They're
by
fraudulent.
Mississippi State.
Dare I say?
Just constantly fraudulent.
Yeah, every year.
All right, what do we have this week?
First game is number 8 Tennessee at number 25 LSU. Tennessee is a 3-point favorite.
LSU tried to mess around and lose to Auburn last week.
Oh yeah, Auburn got up to like 17-0 lead or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They like doing that. Auburn likes getting up double digits.
I was surprised that. Yeah, they do. I was surprised that Auburn was playing that well in that game. It kind of makes you feel a little bit better, maybe, about Mizzou hanging with them. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I think
They still suck.
I think Tennessee wins on the road and covers.
I agree. Give me Tennessee.
Who's our guest picker? Did you already say?
No, our guest picker this week is Britt.
All right, welcome in. Good luck.
And I will take Tennessee.
Who did Britt take?
LSU.
Okay.
Going for the bonus points.
Godspeed.
I mean, that is kind of the game that Tennessee would lose, though. Like,
They're pretty good,
yeah.
unfortunately.
LSU's a hard place to play.
That
But
is true.
11 a.m. kick.
That is also true.
Next.
Stand pat?
Yeah.
All right. Arkansas at number 23 Mississippi State. Mississippi State is a 9.5-point favorite.
Arkansas sucks now. They were good.
I hope.
Give me Arkansas.
Oh.
Oh, okay. I kind of thought about it, but Mississippi State, I put my faith in them last week, and they treated me right. So
True.
I'll stick with them.
Ooh. What did Britt do?
Britt takes Mississippi State.
I'll take Arkansas.
Oh yeah.
Man.
Oh, that'd be fun. That'd be fun watching that one.
Mississippi State 9.5. That's kind of crazy.
I am surprised by that.
Next up is Auburn at number 2. Number 2, formerly number 1 Georgia.
Knocked them off.
Wow, get out of there.
Georgia's a 30-point favorite.
Georgia by 1 million, right?
Yeah,
Oh, they're
back.
Yeah.
poor Auburn. They're
Yeah.
going to feel the wrath.
Georgia back at home.
They're gonna pour one out for them.
Yeah. Pour one out for Auburn. F's in the chat for Auburn.
Everybody's on Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
Number 9, Ole Miss at Vanderbilt. Ole Miss is a 17-point favorite.
What's Vanderbilt been up to? I don't even know. Probably losing.
What have they been up to? They lost to Alabama
And they haven't
2
played,
weeks ago.
They haven't played since then.
Okay.
Yeah, 55-3. They lost to Alabama.
That's not very competitive.
It's going to be similar, I think.
You kind of like Vanderbilt, don't you? Or you
I did. I mean,
And then they played Alabama and lost, and you don't like them anymore?
well, they lost to Wake Forest pretty bad at home. And Northern Illinois kind of gave them a game.
That's true.
Yeah, I was
What
really...
have they actually done that's good?
They hung 63 points on Hawaii.
Okay.
In Hawaii.
In Hawaii,
Yeah.
wow. Something about that, the beauty of Hawaii just really supercharged them to that performance.
And then they beat Elon 42-31.
That's true. That was impressive.
Wake
So-
Forest was ranked, though.
That's true. Yeah, Ole Miss by a lot, I think.
Yep.
Vanderbilt might not actually be good.
What's Vanderbilt been up to?
All right, everybody on Ole Miss. South Carolina At number 13, Kentucky. Kentucky is a 10-point favorite.
Did you realize like how highly ranked Will Levis was in like the NFL draft conversation? Like, okay, I mean, I knew he had had a good season last year. I can see how he would be a good prospect.
Heck of an arm.
Big arm, like kind of a bigger guy, but I mean, they were talking about him when I was watching some of that game last week. Like, he could potentially be the number 1 quarterback drafted.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Was that just a little dramaticism because they were calling the game
I think so.
He was playing in?
Yeah. Now, this could be a cold take in the future, but I see him as your prototypical team needs a quarterback, but doesn't have a top 3 pick, so they trade up way too far to take him, and he's not actually the answer in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
If a team would draft him like early 2nd round and like not put too many expectations on him, he could probably be a good NFL quarterback.
I saw somebody tweeted, Will Levis seems like the guy that's going to get a whole front office fired someday.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. But South Carolina,
we talked about them at the beginning of the year as a team that kind of has that, like, we might completely unravel factor.
Yeah.
And they have done that.
Yeah.
So give me whoever they're playing.
Kentucky.
Sounds good.
South Carolina, though, coming off 2 big wins back-to-back over Charlotte and South Carolina State.
Okay, maybe that. I'm a little scared now, actually. What's the line on this one?
I'll take Kentucky.
10.
10, yeah. Give me Kentucky for sure.
Everybody got Kentucky. Texas A&M at number 1, Alabama. Alabama is a 24-point favorite.
I mean, this is the one that A&M wins, right? This is the one where they just randomly show up and all of their talent.
Not in Tuscaloosa.
All of the talent, just all the stars align, and they have the best game of their lives all at the same time.
I think you got to have a quarterback to do that. I don't know that Texas A&M has a quarterback.
What, Kellen Mond still doesn't play for them?
No, he's on my fantasy roster.
I was just joking.
It's on my taxi squad.
Yeah. It seemed like he played there for 49 years.
Yeah.
Is it going to be any Nick Saban Jimbo drama?
No, they squashed it. They realized, like, hey, you know what? We can both be at the top of this.
We can both be rich and
system, so let's just go ahead and keep it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. A&M's not good, I don't think. Even if the stars align for this A&M team, they do not win in Tuscaloosa.
I feel like I need some kind of really dramatic, like, stamp of, like, fraudulent. And like if I could do that, if I had that ability or like something,
it comes across the screen like
yes, I would give Texas A&M the stamp of fraudulent behavior.
At this point, it kind of seems like you're giving the fraudulent stamp to Jimbo Fisher.
Yes. Yeah.
As a man.
As just like considering the value of what you're getting for how much you're paying, it's not good.
They fired Kevin Sumlin for having the identical record to Jimbo Fisher. Far.
What's he doing these days?
Good question. Probably not even in football. But I read something insane. Like, if they tried to fire Jimbo Fisher, they would owe him like $40 million or something. I'm not even joking. I think I saw that.
They're deep in the culture.
Yeah.
At this point.
$40 million. That's a real number that I saw.
Astronomical. No wonder he's trying to lose. Are we just doing? I mean, coaches are just doing this now. They are getting the extension and then immediately sucking.
Did we just figure that out?
Just turning it off.
Yeah.
I think we did.
That makes way more sense now.
That makes so much sense.
But then the
buyout, the whole just buyout structure is just effed.
Yeah. And maybe it's the agents. They're like, hey, you know what? It doesn't even matter if you win because we'll just do this contract and bada bing, bada boom. Never have to work again.
Just for fun, he is currently the head coach and general manager for the Houston Gamblers of the USFL.
Oh, yeah, Kevin Sumlin. I think I do remember seeing that now. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Jimbo.
No.
I was like, how is that even legal? Kevin Sumlin, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Jimbo Fisher's the general manager, and he just like sends all the A&M players there.
His name is Jimbo.
Yeah, I mean, That's hardly even a name.
Yeah, give me Alabama.
Alabama.
Everybody got them. All right.
Last but not least.
Last
and least.
and maybe least, except maybe in this game. Nebraska at Rutgers.
Is Greg Schiano still the coach of Rutgers?
Yeah.
Rutgers all day.
Now Nebraska won last week, right?
Yes.
Who they beat?
Indiana.
Indiana.
Oh, how embarrassing!
But
Connor
they were at
Bazelak.
home. Yeah.
Nebraska's a 3-point favorite.
On the road.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, give me the underdog. Greg Schiano. They're winning that game.
It's at Rutgers.
Yeah.
Give me Nebraska.
Yeah, give me Rutgers.
Britt takes Nebraska.
Oh my
just
goodness.
A classic 2-on-2.
That is best thing that I could have heard.
2 versus 2 mini game.
Zero chance Nebraska's winning that game.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, good luck to everyone. They're not winning.
See you guys on the gridiron.
Special thank you to our Patreon supporters at the $10 level and above. Britt Treese, Brian Smith, Ryan DeMore, Tristan, Ben Smith, Parker, Daddy JD, Luis Hernandez, Tim Keynes, Tyler Harsel, Brandon Garofalo, Brandon Hanks. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. You can find this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcast. We're on Twitter at Mizzou Sports Pod, and you can email us at MissouriSportsPod@gmail.com.
You can find our t-shirts and stickers on our online shop, MissouriSportsPod.BigCartel.com.
I feel like you can just clap, but then you can still just play the video. Oh, I got to say my other thing.
You
Thank
totally-
you everyone for listening. We'll see you next week.